you have this unique angle to the world and you are creating great content, that'll do great for audience. As long as you're putting in the reps, it's not going to hit the first time maybe, but eventually it will hit. If you have that unique of an experience, I think it will do. But I don't think it'll help you build a community. Because what's a community? You need that two-way engagement. So one thing that one misconception a lot of people, and this is not just in Maker's Mark, if I get questions, I think a lot of people just think fantastic content will bring them a community, but that's not true. It might bring them an audience if you at it for long enough. It's throwing spaghetti at the wall, it'll stick eventually. In terms of community, you need that two-way engagement. Some people expect if I'm not responding to the people that are responding to my tweets, it's not just strictly constrained to tweets. It could be anything in terms of content.
Welcome to Entrepreneur's Handbook, everyone, where we share inspiring startup stories with practical takeaways for you, the listener. Today we have with us Aadit Sheth, who has over 200,000 followers on Twitter and is a co-founder of Maker's Mark with Brandon Zeng, which helps other creators to grow their personal brand, and they're in the 7th iteration already. Thanks so much for being here, Aadit.
Thank you so much, Amardeep, for having me on. I'm excited to talk about, everything about from Twitter, from content creation, how to build an audience, and, the stuff that I've been doing with my core-based course and newsletters, and just super excited to talk about all things together.
So what's amazing as well is how young you are. So for many people who are maybe older, they're trying to do this and they're not sure what to do, but you've cracked it at such a young age. What made you get into this world in the first place? So what brought you to Twitter? What made you want to become a creator?
So let's dial back, maybe 2 years. 2 years back, obviously we had the pandemic and I was just spending a lot of time, just like all of us, I was spending a lot of time alone. I'm sure there are these wild stats that I have seen. I just don't have the numbers on me right now. But the content consumption of us as a race has just gone up so much, just because we spend so much time on our tablets and on our phones, and we've been consuming so much content. And that's why you see all these TikTok stars, and you see all these content creators growing in popularity and making more money than ever. It's just because the amount of people consuming the content has also increased. So just a lot of people, I started consuming a lot of content from people that I was already admiring, looking up to, and just following in general. And these people are Ali Abdaal, Thomas Frank. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the niche, but it's they're big in the productivity space and they're big on YouTube. And I had been following them for maybe a year, and I really got into their business, their content, how are they monetizing, because that's just what I was naturally curious about. And I think there was this one video that Ali Abdaal made. He's in London as well. It was about how much he made in a year as an entrepreneur, and that was selling courses from YouTube ad revenue and all sorts of things, that's included in a creator business. And I just sat there and I was what? Someone making, I think in his first year that he made the video, I don't think his first year of business, but the first year that he released that video, because he's had multiple versions of that now. But I think the first year was a couple $1 million, maybe $1 million, $1.5 million in 1 year as a content entrepreneur, you could say, right? So I just got naturally curious, what are these income streams? What's happening? Where are they creating content? Learned a bit more about YouTube ads. And then eventually started learning that a lot of these people were actually building their communities on Twitter as well. Let's say they were creating content on YouTube to kind of showcase their expertise or help people out via YouTube. But a lot of the questions that they were asking, for example, Ali would want to post a video on YouTube and he'd ask his Twitter audience, which thumbnail should I use? So that's where they would engage their audience. That's where they would have that two-way interaction, right? So I was why not actually get on the platform, interact with these people that I've been admiring for so long. And and that's how it started. And one thing that I think I made clear from the first day was, I've been on the internet, obviously, so I'm 20 right now. So I had been, consuming content for a long time already. When I'm getting on Twitter, I want to make sure that I'm creating and consuming. This is going to be the first platform where I'm not just consuming, because I've been doing that on TikTok, on YouTube, and reading articles forever, right? So I want to make sure that I'm also creating content. I want to make sure that I'm also building this community around myself. So that's initially how it started. I think it's almost been, it's probably been about 2 years. Since I've been writing on Twitter, writing a newsletter, and it's been a wild ride, and definitely a lot of lessons learned. Probably the biggest one being that stuff compounds as long as like you're, at it for like for 2 years and even more. So I think that's something that you're probably realizing with this podcast as well, just like media compounds, and the more reps that you put in, the more time that you spend. And I'm probably spending more time than ever on the internet creating content. So that's definitely been showing.
Yeah, and like in those early days, right, because you came into this intentionally, right? You had seen Ali Abdaal, you'd seen other big creators, and like, okay, this is a way that I can potentially make money in the future. But obviously with Twitter itself, there's no easy way to make money. It's not like on YouTube you can get the ads and you can make money in that way. They're trying to do things now, but 2 years ago, if I remember right, there wasn't an obvious way to make money. So was your idea at the beginning to maybe start on Twitter, then try YouTube or something like that? Or what was the roadmap you had in those early days?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I think one thing to point out was that I was definitely curious and interested in how these creators were making money. Like I was interested in what kind of like income streams they have and stuff. Like, they would list it out like affiliate marketing, we have courses, we have YouTube ad revenue, we have like all these different sponsorships. So one thing that I had in mind was like, I didn't want to like get on video as soon as possible. Like obviously, like, I think this probably everyone has this, like when they're starting off, even to a certain point, like I have it right now. I'm sure like even the biggest of creators have imposter syndrome. And that's something really tough to deal with. So I was like, starting off, I didn't want to put my voice online and I didn't want to put, be on video basically. So I was like, Twitter's like pretty easy in that sense. Like, I just gotta like write. So, so that was like an easy way to get started. I think starting off, I had that intention of like, I think I might want to go to another platform later on, like expand on other platforms and see what I can do over there. But right now, like Twitter's just been working so well, and I'm taking my email list and newsletter more seriously right now. But to answer your question, it was like, initially I had the idea of like kind of expanding to different platforms, but then I just like stuck to Twitter, and it was less so about monetization early on. Later I was just like trying to see like what kind of monetization methods can we use to actually, see if you can make any money out of this. But starting off, it was just to like kind of build a community around myself. And as time goes, I've actually realized that that's more powerful, especially if you don't have like that pressure to monetize. Those relationships are so powerful. And I recently went to the States just to like kind of spend time with family, friends. And then I also like allocated time and like made sure that I had time to like spend with Twitter friends, people that I met through Twitter, people that we've been doing business with, and I did that, and it just completely changed the game in the sense that like I thought Zoom meetings and I thought like online interactions, like it's amazing, right? Like you save so much money, you don't have to travel, you don't have to go anywhere, you have the same connection. But I think one thing that I realized like going there was that the depth of that connection is just on another level when you meet that person, like when you meet in person, which is why like we're doing this right now, right? So just to like kind of reiterate on the point, monetization, as long as you don't have the pressure to do that, you'll realize that the relationships and just like the connections that you have through just creating content on YouTube or creating content on Twitter, I think that's far more valuable.
Yeah, I completely agree. And it's one thing as well, when I started, so my platform originally was Medium, right? And I just thought it was going to be a bit of a news resolution, a bit of fun. I never thought it'd actually go anywhere.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes the people who have seen it most successful actually starts from that curiosity aspect. Whereas people are starting, okay, I need to make money on this as soon as I possibly can. Because they're so short-term minded, it doesn't really work out for them. Whereas what I'm doing for this podcast, what I'm doing for a lot of things I'm doing now, I'm not profit maximizing. I'm not trying to make as much money as I can right now. What I'm doing more is increasing the richness of my life by meeting people like you, by meeting other people I've met, which means that in the future, I'm always going to have those opportunities. I can make more money in the future because I've learned so much more. And like I said, some of it comes down to that. It's privilege or it's luck in some ways. If you don't need to make money, you can really think long term. And that's where you can make better strategic decisions. And people respect that as well, right? If you're coming to somebody and you only try and talk to them because you want to make money out of them, nobody wants that. Like, I don't want somebody to consider me like a bag of money, right? And like when you're obviously starting off, like you're a student, you didn't have like business experience. How did you get like those first early connections with people? How did you build those ties with those? Because obviously some of the people you've met have been in business for decades and they've built huge, massive businesses. How did you like get them to connect with you?
Yeah, that's very interesting. So one thing that I learned quite early on, And I think this is like props to my co-founder, props to Brandon. He worked with Jack Butcher on the guy behind Visualize Value. So obviously he's got a huge brand, super successful. And he helped Jack build the permissionless apprenticeship product, right? And so Brandon taught me all about like value first approach to content. Think about giving more than like taking. Just that's something that I've learned from all these content creators as well as Brandon. Content creation mainly, especially in like the educational space, in the info product space, into like the stuff that I'm into as well. And just like when dealing with and meeting like other people that are running their businesses, it's that value first approach to content. Just basically like I heard this quote like some time ago, and it was like, just basically give 99% of what you know for free, then like charge for that 1%, and that 1% will be able to like pay for your lifestyle. Obviously depends on what type of lifestyle do you want, but that kind of quote embodies what I'm saying, is that go with the value first approach, create content to give to the community, to help people out, and it always comes back like tenfold. Always, like I've never seen it not come back tenfold basically. So yeah, just try to like be as resourceful and helpful as possible. And to your point about like meeting like cool business people that have these like massive businesses, sometimes they're not like on Twitter, like very likely they're not on Twitter like hanging around all day. So then you have to go the extra mile, maybe start the conversation in the DMs, or email them with something useful. Okay, I'll give an example. Something pops up right now. So recently I made this, I partnered up with like a creator on Twitter, and I built this tool called LinkedIn Carousel Generator, and I'll tell you a bit about why we started that. So I recently started like creating content on LinkedIn and started repurposing content, and this is something super useful. If you already have content on Twitter, you want to repurpose that content on LinkedIn and start building a following there as well. So that's what I've started to do. Grew from I think like 0 to 7,000-8,000 followers in maybe like less than 2 months. So it's been going well, but it's mainly just repurposed content from Twitter. And I was finding myself that these LinkedIn carousels, like, those PDFs that you have to swipe through, they're doing really well. Like, they're getting great engagement. And I was like, okay, why not create these, like go on Figma or like go on like these like apps and then create these. So I got to go screenshot, I got to import it into Figma, like export it as a PDF, do all this like, fancy jazz. And it was taking me like 15 minutes to do every single time. So then later on, like funny story, I like got my brother to do it, my younger brother to do it. But basically, I was like, okay, I'm doing this. A couple of my friends are doing this. I'm like a student, I got time, but like these guys don't have time, right? Like these people that are running their businesses, like they're either getting their VAs to do it, virtual assistants to do it, or they're doing it themselves as well and take like 10 to 15 minutes each time. And it's like so easy to do by software. So I partnered up with this developer. We launched it like less than a week. It was a simple tool. You put the Twitter link in and it comes out, like it spits out a PDF, and you just upload that to LinkedIn. So that one tool is saving, it's saving you like 15-20 minutes. And for someone who's like, running their business, is super valuable. So we made the thing free. We made the tool free. We launched it. We put on Product Hunt, which is like the space where you put like products and people can upvote it. So we did that. We got like Product Hunt #1 of the day. So we got the top product of the day, and people just loved it. But then I was realizing that some of my friends that are like running their own businesses were still not using it because they didn't see it on Product Hunt or they didn't see it on Twitter. So I went into the DMs. I like made that marginal effort to go and like write them like a personalized message and be like, yo, like this is gonna save you. Like it doesn't even have to be, because I knew the product itself had value. I was just like, it was a quick one line message saying, hope this saves you like 15 minutes every carousel or like 15 minutes every day. And people just appreciate it so much. I still get like inbound, like, yo, like, did you make this? Like, yo, you made this. Thank you so much for making this. And so that's just like one small thing, like a long-winded way to answer, like, how do you actually like connect with all these people? Just go with like the value first approach. And people will, find ways to thank you.
Yeah. And it's what you said there as well. It's about doing things that don't scale sometimes as well. Because I think sometimes people are obsessed by systems too early. Yeah. Systems can come later on once you've got the respect and you've got the, like, what you're doing. At the beginning, if you try to systemize things too much, then when people slide into my DMs where it's quite clearly, obviously, a message they've sent to 100 other people, I'm just going to ignore that, right? Like, there's no value
Yeah.
to me there, and they haven't really thought about it.
Yeah.
Whereas once you can tell, okay, they thought this is going to be useful to me because they've seen I'm doing this, or they know that I'm trying to build my LinkedIn or whatever like that, then it makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
And you mentioned there as well about your co-founder for Maker's Mark too. How did you guys meet each other?
Okay, so just getting back on that, things that don't scale, like doing things that don't scale. Just a funny story on that. So for the first 1,000 people that followed me, I'm pretty sure as long as like they seem legit, like their account didn't have like a clear indication that this person's like not legit, like as long as it seemed like, this person, I can have a conversation with this person, I DM'd every single person for the first 1,000 followers that I got. And that was that, just kind of double clicking on that thing that you said about doing things that don't scale. And it paid off because I am still friends with like some people, not everyone obviously, but like some people that I met through those initial conversations. A lot of them have actually grown alongside me. Like we've grown together on the platform. So like we're, exchanging kind of like tactics. We're seeing what's working, what's not working. What are you writing next? What are you writing about next? So that's just like a cool little story on like how doing things that don't scale. Obviously it's tough because you have to like think of something specific to message and like, start a conversation about. But it really worked. And to answer your question about how Brandon and I met was in fact this very strategy. It was, I wouldn't call it a strategy because there wasn't like any pattern. Like it was just trying to like, meet as many people as possible. So that's how we initially connected. And as time went, I was like, listen, like you're already helping people out, like personally, like, you're getting paid or like you're kind of helping people out and ghostwriting for them. I'm also like kind of helping people out to develop their personal brands. We could have something that is a better leverage of our time because we're like, spending 1 hour of our time with one person via Zoom. Why not like spend 1 hour of our time with like 20 people on Zoom or like 30 people on Zoom and we can host it together and like we can obviously build the entire product together. So that's what we did eventually. But that wasn't until like, maybe 6 to 7, maybe even 8 months until like we got to know each other. And then we're like, I think like we can work together and we can build something over here. And, fast forward now, like we're 7 cohorts in now. We actually had our first session of the 7th cohort today. And it's just every single time after like the cohort is done, I'm like, okay, cool. Like, I forget how amazing it was. And then when I go back into those sessions, you just meet so many awesome people, people building their businesses, people like either writing. We've worked with people that just got out of college and are making like 6 figures writing a newsletter now. And that's just because they've worked on their personal brand for like the cohort is 2 weeks. They've worked on their personal brand for maybe 4 to 6 months. And they've been able to like land gigs and work with people and making over 6 figures a year writing online. Working with people in the AI space, in the gaming industry, in the esports space. It's just absolutely crazy. Like the diversity of people that you work with, mainly founders, mainly people that have their businesses. And it's just like great to kind of learn because equally we learn about what kind of other businesses there are. Obviously we're just getting started with our journey. Like we both are 20. So what we know is like you have content businesses and then you have these startups. And then like when we work with like so many different people from different backgrounds, we learn more about like the world and the world of business and the world of marketing and helps us grow as well. So it's been a great experience.
So that course is now Maven because I've interviewed Wes Cowell, the founder of Maven, fairly recently. But did it always start off with Maven or how did that kind of connection come about as well?
Yeah. So basically, Brandon worked at Maven. Maven, I think, our first cohort was on Maven as well. And right now it's an amazing product. When starting off as well, it was like there and we were kind of like growing alongside Maven Maven was growing alongside us. So like whatever features we required or like, if we had any like product suggestions, like we'd definitely like hit up Gagan and Wes and they'd build it. But like they had like an amazing track record, both of them. And the team behind Maven was amazing. So we're going to like start off with them. I'm super glad that we did because the platform's like definitely there. And it's like helped us kind of, make the process of getting students and then making them like go through the entire entire flow, and then like actually hosting the cohort-based course on it as well, because like recordings are on it. We've got the community that they've launched fairly recently. So everything's like basically hosted on Maven except Zoom. Like right now we have Zoom meetings. And I think like the plan eventually is probably to host everything on Maven, which I can definitely see them doing. But yeah, it's definitely made the process easier for us to like host and run the entire, it's like made it less of a burden basically.
And one of the things as well for Maven is that quite a lot of the cohorts are quite high ticket, right? And like, how did you feel about that? You mentioned imposter syndrome earlier, and charging people a high price for these courses, which you know are going to deliver value. And now you're on the seventh iteration. Did you feel pressure at the beginning, or how did you get over that kind of stress and pressure about, can I charge this much? How much should I charge? How did you answer those questions?
Yeah, that's a great question. So starting off, we already like, we knew that for the first cohort at least, because it's like a beta cohort, we want to do two things. We want to be like highly selective about like who we're working with, because we want to work with people that are going to be giving us a lot of feedback. Because definitely the first cohorts is about iteration, about how do we make it a better experience for people that are joining the cohorts. And I think fast forward now, like I honestly like confidently can say like Maker's Mark is probably one of the best code-based courses over there. Just because of the experience, not just the content. Like I think with code-based courses, the content itself cannot just be fully responsible for the experience. It is the breakout sessions. It's the people that are in the sessions. It's access to the creators as well. I feel like that's those last 2, 3 things that we do. That's where our edge is compared to like other products in the space. But to answer your question about like, about imposter syndrome, how much should I charge? We were like, as I was saying, so starting off, it was about getting feedback. It was about being selective about who's coming in, which is why like we had a heavy discount on like the first cohort. But then as we got more confident, and in fact, I recall moments where people that graduated from the cohort-based course, they were like, dude, like, I don't know what you guys are doing. You guys should charge way more. Like they were talking about 10x more. I was like, yo, like, no, like cool it down. Okay, we'll think about it. And then obviously as they were also helping us out, fortunately, a lot of people still refer. Like referrals is, and we don't like, there's no, affiliate program. There's no kind of like relationship with that right now. It's just, you can refer if you really, really enjoy the experience. Like, if you really enjoyed it, like naturally you're going to tell your friends, like, this is what I used and this is what I enjoyed. Like, you guys should really like hit up Brandon and Aadit. So Maker's Mark, like referrals right now is still one of the biggest, one of the biggest sources that we get clients through and that we get like students through. So start off like charging, what you're comfortable with. And then later people will tell you, as long as they have your best interest in mind and obviously their best interest, but they want to help you, they genuinely want to see you grow, they'll tell you like you're charging way too less, and then like just listen to them.
Yeah. You said you got a lot of feedback at the beginning stage of the beta courses.
Yeah.
What's some of the feedback you got that really made a difference where your perception of what makes a good course or what you should be doing? Yeah,
good question. Very good question. So starting off, we were like, okay, we've got this, like, we're getting these students in. We want to deliver the most amount of content possible. Like, not quality, not anything else. Just like, we want to give them a lot of value quantity-wise, which is obviously not the right way to go about it, because that'll just be overwhelming for the person. Like when someone's like opting in for a course or like, they want your curated version of the most important things, which is why they go to your course, like compared to someone else's, right? They want your curation because they've trusted you. They've been reading your content. They've been like following you for a while, and they know that what do you have to say on this particular topic? I want to learn it from you compared to like anyone else, right? So one thing was kind of dialing back on content and more on community. Because first, starting off, we're like, we just want to deliver as much value as possible, but we forgot that a lot of the value is actually interacting with other people. So then that's when we scheduled more time for breakout rooms. That's when we increased engagement in the community. That's when we like completely scratched off some lessons and just allocated time for engagement, like for workshops. Like just come on in, ask questions, and review other people's, like, this is getting a bit technical, but review other people's content, review other people's threads, look at their hooks. What feedback do you have? What questions do you have about your workflow, how to create content? Are you like struggling to write? All these things. We could have just made like a, boring Google Slides and started like delivering that via a presentation. But it's just much more fun when they come through that problem, they bring it up in a session, and we're like helping them navigate through it. And that engagement is what they like. That engagement is what they leave, what they take when leaving the cohort. So just to kind of highlight that, it was like focus on value, but make sure that it's super concise, because that's what people are paying for. People aren't paying to be bombarded by content all over again, because that's what they are already on the internet, right? And schedule a lot of time to like make sure that network effects are going on around in the community and people are meeting other people, because that's the value that they get when they're signing up to a Maven course or signing up to our course.
I think an important point about it as well is that pretty much every bit of content is already out there for free. So like you said, people aren't paying necessarily for that. They're paying for the community. There's also the structure, right, of being able to put that content in a way that they can easily digest and they can actually apply it. Because I see so many people write these guides, and if the person reading it can't apply that advice after reading the article is useless. It doesn't matter if it's 10,000 words or 100,000 words. And that's what a lot of people forget. It's not about, like you said, just piling people with content. It's about how do you actually solve their problems. And by engaging with them, you're much more likely to do that because you can understand how they think.
Yeah.
And what are some of the biggest misconceptions you think people have when they come into the course in terms of how they think they should be building a personal brand? What are they getting wrong? And then after the course, they're learning, okay, this is what I should be doing instead.
Yeah, that's a really good question. So this is just like in general with like building a personal brand. A lot of people get into that misconception that creating superb content will build a community for them. So if you have fantastic content, like let's say like you have this unique set of experiences that, very few people in the world have, like you're part of like a 0.001% of people. I don't know, it just could be like some experiences that you have, could be wealth, could be like some, you've invested in this like particular thing that like, suddenly like went off, or you have this unique angle to the world and you are creating great content, that'll do great for audience. As long as like, you're putting in the reps, it's not going to hit the first time maybe, but like eventually it will hit. Like if you have, as you say, like that unique of an experience, I think it will do, but I don't think it'll help you build a community, because what's a community? You need that two-way engagement, right? So one thing that, one misconception a lot of people, and this is not just in Maker's Mark, like if I get like questions just via email, or if I get questions just on Twitter, I think a lot of people just think like fantastic content will bring them a community, but that's not true. It might bring them an audience if you're like, at it for long enough. It's like, throwing spaghetti at the wall, like it'll stick eventually. But in terms of community, you need that two-way engagement. Some people expect like, if I'm not responding to the people that are responding to my tweets, like it's not just like strictly constrained to tweets. It could be like anything in terms of content. If someone's like, spending like 30 seconds going and commenting on your stuff, like depending on how many you're getting, but like at least in starting off, I think you should be taking that time and responding to people and like trying to provide as much value as possible over there, because that's what's going to be building a community for you. And that's kind of like going back into what I said earlier about doing things that don't scale. I kind of like went out of my way to like DM and like, reach out to people that were following me, kind of to ask like what are they struggling with right now, or if I found something particularly interesting about their content, or if I could get feedback on a particular thing, just like trying to provide value in any way possible, right?
Yeah.
That is what really helped to build a community. Whereas that's a misconception a lot of people have. Just like if I create like tons of content, like will I have a community? And the answer is no, like you won't. Yeah.
How do you handle that now? Because obviously now you've grown a lot, you've scaled massively, you've got the cohort-based courses, you've got the Twitter following, you're getting a LinkedIn following. like I get a lot of messages and I can't cope with all of the ones I get as well. And sometimes you have that filtration system, right? You're trying to, okay, should I reply to this person, not to that person? And I don't know, I find this hard sometimes borderline, right? It's like I could reply to this person, but then I don't know where that line is.
Yeah.
How do you decide who you're going to reply to at this stage? Or is it still manageable? Do you still have enough time to actually reply to everybody?
Yeah. Funny enough, I'm thinking about it right now. It's like very consequential. Like it depends like on the day. Like if I'm like on the run or something, and sometimes like even someone that I know, like I don't know like personally, but they like we've been chatting and like they send me something, like I'll be like I'll get back to you later, but like oftentimes if I don't get back to you on the same day, like I just won't get back to you. So that happens as well sometimes. In terms of replying to people, like just like getting a lot of inbound, that is true. One of the things that I hate most about Twitter is that they haven't solved like the DM problem, like bots and just random stuff that comes in. One way that I filter it through, I think recently it's still become marginally better, which is like if you go to message requests, which is like people that you don't follow, it'll say just under message requests for people that you may know. And then you're like, oh, okay, like people that I may know are in this message request. Let's see like if it's something interesting. So I go there and then it tells you who you follow that follows them. So, I mean, it doesn't matter too much, but it's like, okay, someone that I learn from, someone that I like consume, like I consume their content, they're following this person who's trying to like message me. And it's kind of getting confusing, but at least it's like some sort of indication that this person is not spam, right? And then like, so that's one way that I filter who like to talk to and who to respond to. But it does get it gives me anxiety, honestly. Like it gets very difficult to respond to everyone. And of course you want to be like intentional of your time as well, which is like what I talk a lot about on Twitter and in my newsletter as well. Like it's all about time billionaires and like valuing your time. So if I was actually like sitting down and responding to everyone, I would have zero time and only people to respond to. So then I like try to find a balance somewhere.
So you're gonna have exams soon as well, right? For you.
Yeah. So I'm in my final year.
That? Yeah.
I mean, so we'll see how I manage that, honestly. But so during that time, I kind of dial back from the business, like make sure that it's running, but focus more so on that. So like it's all about balance, right? Like if I have university, someone else has like their day job to do, or if I have university, someone else has their family to take care of. So we all have our like own commitments. And we just like find our way and like do what's most important to us and what we enjoy doing the most. So that's how I manage it.
So it's a final year at university now. What's your plan for afterwards? Are you going to be full-time creator? Are you going to try and get a day job as well? What's your thinking at the moment?
Yeah, so I get that question quite a bit. So I'd love to see like the full-time creator thing plan out, because I genuinely like enjoy it. In fact, recently I was thinking about starting my own podcast, and like, I feel like a lot of people go through this like the shiny object syndrome, and like I want to do this, like this person's doing amazing, like I want to do this, like this is like I think I could do this better, or I can learn from this person. So I think I really enjoy it. I enjoy like the full-time creator mode. I feel like right now I'm full-time creator mode plus full-time like college student. So like I'm living like two lives. But later on, like I think it is a probable route. At this point, like I can't say much in the sense of like, okay, this is my plan, but it's something that I would be interested in later on. But we recently started an agency as well, like on the back end of Maker's Mark. So a lot of the people that are coming in Maker's Mark, if they want their content to be done, like it's like a done for you service, we provide that as well. So that's like starting to grow as well. So just trying to like have like a portfolio of businesses that I'm kind of mitigating my risk and maximizing my chances of making more money, so that I can go down like the full-time creator, full-time like business route. Because that's what I want to do eventually. Like if it's not like a full-time creator, maybe not having my own podcast or something, it's like I have businesses that are built upon and driven by my personal brand, but they're still detached from my personal brand. They could be driven by my personal brand, but not dependent on it, if that makes sense. And I can't think of like concrete examples right now. In fact, I could.
Balance. For example, where if you have everything built in your personal brand,
Yeah,
then you're screwed because you have to do all the work.
exactly.
So you need to be able to say like, I'm the front of this agency.
Exactly.
But people accept that you're not going to be the one actually doing the work
Yeah.
behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And it's a difficult thing for many people to grasp because, for example, like with this podcast, if this was, so Dave Schools is the founder of Entrepreneur's Handbook. If this was Dave Schools' handbook, I couldn't host this podcast. But because it's all called Entrepreneur's Handbook, then I can host it on his behalf.
Yeah.
And that's where the importance of a business brand also comes in, because then it's you're attaching my personal brand is attached to Entrepreneur's Handbook. His personal brand is attached to Entrepreneur's Handbook as well. And then that gives it like greater strength, right?
Yeah,
Dave Schools, so he's like the VP of multi-product growth at Hopin. And Hopin's an $8 billion company. So his name behind this brand helps us a lot.
Right.
Then my brand of growing very fast in Medium and all the other stuff I do helps the brand out. And this is where it can work, where you and Brandon both got very strong personal brands. If you then build a business together, people are going to value it because your names are attached to it. But then it can outgrow you. And that's a really important part where it can survive without you, because you've given it that initial momentum. And then from there it can grow without you.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's the route that I want to go down, because I think about this a lot, like, because I ask myself this question as well. Like, I'm like, what's happening after university, right? So I want to like make my own software, like build my own software, and like have this agency, and like have like multiple, like, as I said, portfolio of internet businesses that are driven by my personal brand but not dependent on it. So I think about this quite a bit, and I really like that that approach where it's like you're the face of it, but doesn't mean you're doing all the work, right? Because what's like the point of having like 70,000 Medium followers like you have, and you have this podcast? Like, it's that you're building trust with your audience, and then obviously leveraging, not exploiting the trust, but you're leveraging that trust and building a team around you that's also like trustworthy, so that you can provide service-based businesses, software businesses around it. And that's eventually what the plan is.
What are your portfolio? What's your portfolio at the moment? So you obviously got Twitter, you've got your newsletter, you've got Make It's Mark, you've got the new agency. Is there anything else that
that's exactly it. So in terms of what makes money, sponsorships on the newsletter, affiliate marketing, which is just like, there are a couple of like software products that I use to like grow my personal brand, and a lot of people are like interested, like, hey, like, what's your opinion on this? Like, I heard this product has been really helpful for other people, and then so I help people out with that. And so that's sponsorships, affiliate marketing, obviously digital products, as I said, in terms of like the core-based course and stuff, and the agency side now. So that's like a couple of, just trying to like diversify my portfolio. A lot of people actually are in this debate of like, should you like diversify your portfolio? Should you have like multiple different like things, or should you go all in on one? So I haven't really, I don't have like a concrete answer to this right now, because I follow like Sam Parr and like Sean Puri from like My First Million, right? The guys behind My First Million. And they're very much like, go big or go home. Like, have like Sean Puri has like the milk road, like I'm going all in on this guy's like, and Sam, like, I love his personality. He's like, the hustle, and like that's what he did. That's it, like nothing else. And now he's got his other business that he doesn't talk much about, but that's one side of things. And then there are other creators that are kind of
Justin Moore, entrepreneur. Yeah,
exactly. They're talking about like, you should have multiple. So exactly. So I haven't like really found what side I am on. So right now I'm on like the diversified portfolio side. But I think when I do find that one thing that really hits, I wouldn't be surprised if I like go all in on that. Because I think that's just my personality. And I think that's what comes into play. Like, different people's personality will come into play. Justin Welch is also in a different kind of journey of his life, right? I'm like 20, maybe I can take more risks. Like, I learned a lot, as you can imagine. Like, the people that I surround myself, especially like online, they're like much older than me. So I learn from their experiences. But at the same time, I have to remember, like, I'm also in a different like part of my journey myself. Don't have kids, don't have family. Like, I don't have like as many kind of responsibilities, things that depend on me. So I have like a bit more kind of appetite for risk, and that's something that I want to take into account, because I do want to take as much risk as possible, like not like go all out, but take as much risk as like safely possible in like my next 5 years. So I might just do the go all in route.
So if people want to see what you're going to do in the next 5 years, where should they follow you? What's the best place to reach you if they want to connect with you as well?
Yeah, cool. Yes, I mean, you can probably, the best way to reach out to me is like Twitter. So at Aadit SH, AADIT SH. And if you just DM me, you came from like Entrepreneur's Handbook, like I should be able to get back to you. Probably the best place. And if you want to like check out more of my stuff, aaditsheth.com. That should be a good place to check out my stuff.
Perfect. I've really enjoyed this chat, and I think we're going to carry on chatting off camera as well. But yeah, thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me, man.